Hey guys, Lucas Soccer here. Today we have a ban list like prediction, ban list like my wants, like what I would do really to fix this format. I'm doing this in kind of like a tier list format just so I can kind of lay out all my opinions in one place and you guys can skip to the end if you don't want to hear me talk about it, or if you guys want to just see what my current opinions are, you can skip to the end of it. I'm going to go through everything in depth and then talk about each thing as I go through. Pretty standard. Starting off, a card that a lot of people have been mentioning to get hit on this ban list is Splash Mage. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. This card is a good card, but honestly, it's not the card that's making Malice as broken as it is. What's really making Malice as broken as it is it's the sheer amount of non-engine that deck can play, as well as the fact that the Bystials are like pretty relevant in this current format that we're like in right now for like this weird awkward stage, as well as the format that we ended up playing for the NWCQ. Playing things like Bystials having effectiveness in the deck while also being extenders for yourself made that much worse. I don't think that Splash Mage is the card that we should be hitting to try to mitigate that deck. Moving on, we have Collapse Serpent. This is just a card I threw in here because I think they will move this card to 3. It doesn't do anything. It's going to like boost the decks coming up in the future, but right now they just don't do anything at all. Same thing for Snake Eye. Snake Eye is just not going to be a powerful threat at all. You can move Snake Eye Ash and Pop War to 3 just because those cards are just not it. They're just not good enough anymore. The fact that Witch no longer connects you to these engines, meaning that you have to cut your deck's consistency and line of plays down by a lot just to play these cards, is just too much of a hindrance on them that we can put these cards at 3. Doesn't really matter. And this is an interesting one. I think that, personally, I think that Fawala should not be a legal card. I think that this card should probably be banned. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think that this card will get hit on this list, though. I feel like we're going to get like some like weird OCG hit where this card is going to go to 2 for some reason. This tier list has been a little bit weird, so if you see me dragging around, that's why. But I think this card could definitely go to 2 on this list. It's like a Master Duel, like an OCG kind of hit. I don't think they'll hit it. I think they may put it at 2, something like that. Although I do really think this card should be banned. This card just takes the like fun out of the game just altogether. I feel like you play like mid-range ceiling decks, and sometimes you just are forced to try to take a gamble on if they have enough engine cards in their hand, or if you like, I don't know. This card really just feels like it sucks the fun out of Yu-Gi-Oh right now. I think all of the decks right now are very balanced. Like Yummy's a very balanced deck. Draco Tail is a very balanced deck. Even like the Canine decks are pretty balanced because they lose to a lot of other things right now. I think that all around Fuwalos just kind of disrupts that. Makes it to where if you're playing one of the higher end ceiling decks, you just kind of have to take a risk on if they have enough engine cards to play through your stuff, because all the engine cards kind of like play off of each other, especially in like the Yummy deck, for instance. But realistically, I think that putting this card at 2 and keeping it at 3 is like pretty much the same thing. I don't know. I would personally ban this card if I could. I don't think they're going to hit it though, and if they do, it'll be maybe a 2-0. So we're just going to stick it there. I do think that Featherstorm is going to get banned. I think this card is ridiculously broken. It is a stupid card. It takes 0 skill to activate this card. It just shouldn't be in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Anything that just like applies a floodgate for the rest of the turn that says, if you do this, something else happens, something bad happens, like Fuwalos, or if you try to play, then you can't. That's just not a fun thing either. And Featherstorm is one that has like 0 counterplay to it. You can't hand trap this card at all. Like the scariest, like, or the closest thing you can get to hand trapping this card is like Ash Blossoming their Thrust. But I mean, if they hard draw this, you lose no matter what. It's just not a very fun card. Then we have Duo Drive. When the fake list came out and they were like going over like what could possibly get hit, this was in like the banned category. I think this card honestly could get banned, but also I could just see it going to 1. One major thing is that there's only 2 Raizio Xyz monsters. If we put Duo Drive down to 1, then you can't start by X-sending Duo Drive and then making a Duo Drive to attach another Duo Drive anymore, which means that it has to play in the nib in almost every single instance. I think that if we put the Duo Drive down to 1, I think that's going to be a good enough hit on it to kind of hinder down the Raizio cards to not play around infinite cards anymore. Then we have Crossout. Crossout shouldn't get hit. I don't like Crossout either. I think it's another card that kind of like takes the skill expression away from the game. But 1 Crossout is better than 3 Crossouts. So it's fine at 1. Same thing goes for Call by the Grave, wherever that is. This can probably be up here at 1 as well. I'm not a big fan of either one of these cards. I think they both kind of take the fun out of the game or the skill out of the game. But I also don't think the cards like Fuwalo should be in the game to where you have to run these to counter it. Then we have Heavy Storm. This is a card that I think will come off the ban list here. I think it'll go to 1. It's not going to see play on our end for a while. We have things like Lightning Storm. Harpies are just strictly better cards, have more coverage. But I think Heavy Storm is going to come off on this list. Then we have Magnemite. this card has had its format for the past 7 formats or 12 formats or 15 formats. However this card has been, however long this card's been like alive, it's been having its format. This card needs banned. Like just strictly, it is one of the most broken cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you count like just interactions, right? It's DD Crow. It's also Summon Skull. It also is Rhoda. All 3 things in one card. It's just a broken card altogether. I don't think that this card should be existing. Circular, who cares? That can go to 3. Protos. I don't think Protos matters as much. Protos isn't another one of these floodgates that I was talking about. It's kind of the same thing as Harpies or Fuwalos, any of these like broken, lingering floodgates that you can't really deal with. Protos is a little bit different though because it's a monster, which means you can actually deal with it. Things like Nib, Imperm, Valor, things you're already playing in your deck to try to counteract them playing the game. Also work on the broken floodgate they're trying to get access to. And so I do think it's okay to like keep this card relevant because it does take a lot of resources to get to anyways. I don't think it's a super fun card, but I do think it's probably fine. Paradise Smash, however, not too much counterplay to this just because of how this card is getting made in the current format. They can make this with Lupus, meaning this card is untargetable, and it's just like totally unfair that you're able to make this card as like just a full turn skip is just ridiculous. I don't think that cards like this should be in the game as much. At least with Protos, right? There's some like counterplay to it. Like it only locks you out of like a certain aspect of the game, whereas Paradise Smasher just locks you out of all dueling. You just lose. I think the Prayers should go to 1. Prayers is a good card, and the Mitsuri cards are really, really good in general. I think if Prayers goes to 1, though, they lose the recursiveness almost instantly. And it just becomes like a straight-up unusable engine just because like not having the ability to like use a Prayers in your combo and then end with one, or like having to use one Prayers to like play through a board and not having another one makes it to where the engine is almost useless. It's good for like a 1 push, and then it's just done. And that's just not good enough in the modern game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Nightmare Goblin. I don't know if you guys even know what this card is. This card is useless. It came off on like one of the most recent OCG lists. It's done nothing. I don't think it'll do anything over here. If it ever comes back, we can just go ahead and put it back. Savage. Savage is another card that I think will come back either on this list or the next one. But this card is mainly going to be used as part of like the Dragon Link type support or the Boral support. I think that overall, Savage is like one of the most fair forms of like general boss monsters or negates we have right now. The fact that it takes so much setup to do and you have to have a Link monster on your graveyard means it doesn't play around Nib in almost like every situation. You can make it as summon 5, but the fact that it has to activate to get its negate and you can just Nib in response to when you trade with the body altogether is really, really powerful. I just don't think that Savage is that amazing of a card, and I think it does need to come back to get some of the other decks like playable. Barrier Statue. This card has play around ability to it. I think that it's a cringe card, and the decks can get to this like Mermail. I think those are cringe as well, but it's not the worst card. It's not one of the cards that we need to prioritize banning. Like if we had the choice between banning Barrier Statue or banning Paradise Smasher, I think we can all agree that we need to ban Paradise Smasher. And so for now, I think this card is fine until it becomes more troublesome. Requiem. This Fiendsmith engine isn't strong enough anymore. Doesn't get you to enough resources. And it does cause some bricks to be in your deck, some like mediocre cards that you don't really want to draw all the time. And so I think it's fine to just leave the Fiendsmith engine going how it is right now. They pretty much announced all these cards to be reprinted in the 10s. And so knowing they're going to get reprinted kind of like confirms that they're not going to hit these cards. At least not to the point of banning them. Masterpiece, who cares? These cards are super slow. If you have to deal with the towers, I feel like we've all kind of figured out how to deal with the towers, right? If your deck can't beat one Lunalight Liger, it's not beating a Masterpiece. And so I think you probably should just consider playing other options in your extra deck or just playing a different deck altogether. But I don't think Masterpiece is going to be that big of a deal if we bring it back. X-Raziel. I think that X-Raziel is a card that needs to be lowered down in quantity. I think that if we hit Duo Drive and X-Raziel to 1, I think that's a good enough hit to Raziel to keep it like not useless, but definitely it's going to be a side engine in a lot of decks from now on, which I think is fine. I think that using these cards as like a side engine is whatever, or even just like keeping decks playable going into the format or like into the future is totally fine. The thing that we shouldn't do is we shouldn't just like let them be at full power, because if they're at full power, then like there's no point of playing these new decks. And there's no point of like trying to condense in a format. If we leave all the decks like playable at their full strength, then the format becomes too diverse, and now you can never like build your deck correctly. You can't structure your non-engine to counter the best deck because there's too many best decks. You can't build your side deck to counter 50 decks if you only have 15 cards. This is basically what I'm getting to. And so I think that hitting X-Raziel to 1 and Duo Drive to 1 kind of does what we need to do without like fully murdering Raziel. And so that's probably what I would do there. The main thing is like Duo Drive being at 1, making it to where it can't play through all the hand traps. And then X-Raziel being at 1 means you don't have like the stupid broken versatility of being able to send twins on like turn 3 to like reignite your engine, because either your twins is or your X is like stuck somewhere, or like you had to sequence your turn really, really weird to like specifically put back your 1X into the deck. Also, like running out of names is pretty common in this deck now if we do put this X to 1. And then lastly, we have the biggest hit to Malice. I think we should ban Binder. Hear me out. I love Malice. I'm friends with Julian Kahn. He loves Malice. I think that Binder getting banned is probably something that's necessary for this deck. I don't think that automatically means the deck is dead, though. This deck's actually very, very playable with no Binder. You just use your Rabbit to get to MTP, and then you just hold your MTP forever. You can't really use it as a starter anymore. I don't think that it's going to be one of the best decks if Binder gets banned. I think that it will definitely hinder the deck, but it does the same thing that like kind of hitting the X-Res of the 1 and Dual Drive to 1 does. It makes the deck like very awkwardly playable, and like definitely hurts the grind game of the deck. And so I think that White Binder to 1 would be my hit. That's going to be pretty much all of my opinions for what I think could happen on the ban list, what I think should happen on this ban list. Either way, the format is getting to a point where it's kind of stale. Even with all the new decks coming out, I feel like I'm still, every time I play a duel, there's a chance I'm playing against Mitsuru Uraizio. I feel like there's a chance I'm playing against Malice, and that just kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I think that we're kind of going to be in this awkward format for a little bit longer until after Worlds, and hopefully we get a ban list, and it just does whatever I have on my screen. That's what I really hope happens. Either way, I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you have different opinions, leave them in the comment section down below. If you think I missed anything, put it down there as well. But hey, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. Thanks. Bye-bye.